I can honestly say you're going to feel stupid until you're not. And then you feel like a hero. So don't feel uncomfortable going out there looking like an idiot, coming home, tail between your legs. Cool. Do it and load up and do it again and load up and do it again and again and again. At some point, you will piece together enough data to feel like, you know what? I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing. And that swagger is worth a lot.
You are listening to the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast, where we take an all-in, leave no doubt approach to all things adventure hunting. From the big woods to the high country. How about that? Let's learn together as we discuss with our expert guests on what it takes to be successful in the backcountry. I'm your host, Weston Homa. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Run the Rack Outdoors podcast. This week, I got on my good friend, Garrison Kinsel. So Garrison was on Run the Rack Outdoors podcast episode 2. And so I think he's the second recurring guest. So awesome to get Garrison on. Totally just met Garrison through social media and started following him and really connected. Feels awesome to just connect with like-minded people like this and can just see how passionate he is about hunting mule deer, hunting big mule deer, and that's what this episode's all about. So Garrison had an awesome year, was able to even take out a few other guys, and tag out on some really great bucks too. So we get all into those stories because Garrison's a guy that spends a ton of time in the field, ton of time scouting, puts in the work, and you'll hear some of these stories and all these lessons learned. And it wrapped up with Garrison shot a dandy of a buck at the end of the year. And I think he said it was his best buck to date, but absolute gorgeous buck. Garrison puts in the work. A lot of great nuggets on mule deer on this one. And dude, really appreciate you hopping on. You're the man. Actually, at the beginning of this episode, didn't even know we were going down this rabbit hole. We started talking about our faith a little bit, and I thought that was pretty good conversation there too for a good 10, 15 minutes. So I hope you guys like that part of it as well. But Garrison, dude, you're a stud. Thanks for hopping on. Keep in touch. Everybody go check out his stuff and keep doing the thing, man. Other things going on. So dropped my hunt film. This was my Colorado archery buck, high country archery deer hunt film titled Patience. So I was running around up at 13,000 feet, tagged out on a buck that I was really happy with and shot him in the cliffs. He took a nasty spill there, but it was just a grind of a hunt. We got on a bunch of deer. I was really happy with kind of like how I put this film together, and I think it's good. So go check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. Again, it's called Patience, a Colorado high country mule deer film, something like that. You'll see it when you get on my page, but go check that out. Other things going on my day to day. So I'm doing the 75 hard. So I've done this actually the last 3 years in a row, and it's fun. I've had some people message me, said they want to jump in and do it too. So time this recording, I'm on day 4. And if you guys don't know what that is, you can go check out the rules with that. But you're basically working out twice a day, stick to a diet, read 10 pages of a nonfiction book, take a progress picture, drink a gallon of water, things like that. It's just a program to help build your discipline, and I'm a big fan of it. So like I said, done it the last few years, and on it again, head down, just grinding. Been shooting the bow a lot too, so local range here in Boise, you can get a after hours pass to go shoot the range, so I picked that up and be getting there after they close and just shooting the bow, and it just feels so good. Even just a couple of days a week, just to in a nice, indoor controlled environment and just go back to scratch. Just start from scratch. I'm just shooting arrows sometimes. I'll back it up, but it just feels so good to just be calm, totally think about form, technique, and start all over. 20 yards. I'll just put a bunch of arrows in at 20 and just focus on that. I shoot that hinge, and it's just that pull, break through the shot, and then just trying to do the same thing every time. And it's got me fired up. So, yeah, like I said, doing a lot of training, doing the 75 hard, feel really good, and shooting the bow, running a lot. So I'm doing the 75 hard, but I'm also having to work out more than just 2 45-minute workouts a day because I run so much. So just did a good 22.5-mile run yesterday through the foothills here. I got a 50K coming up here in a couple weeks. Really want to podium that, so hopeful for a good finish there. And then, I got Boston Marathon, Eugene Marathon. I'm going to do this other 100-miler here in the summer and then just be in the best shape for these hunts come the fall. And, like my thought is like, why not? Like, why not try to be in the best shape possible? Why not do these crazy things we get to do with our bodies, like push the limits, do these adventures? And I don't know, I just get so fired up. But that's what I got going on in my day to day. I'm actually going to probably put out a little smaller, short podcast episode later in the week just to break down kind of like, I'm getting more questions on Instagram and stuff too about diet and training and running and all these other things. So I'll probably just break that all down in a little episode. But that's it. I want to get right to the episode here with Garrison. Stay tuned for that other episode, and hope you guys enjoy this one, talking all about mule deer. Let's have a great week, everybody. Let's work as hard as we can. Let's leave no doubt, and let's run the rack. Go Hunt has a single purpose: make it easier for hunters to get into the field. Hunting tags are only getting harder to obtain, and Go Hunt is a research platform helping navigate the ins and outs of drawing tags and researching hunts across the West. I've had a Go Hunt membership for years now, and I'm a big fan of the articles written on there by Brady and Trail. The content is next level stuff that has helped me a ton. From animal behavior to archery, they are sharing all the nuggets. I also love the hunt films on YouTube. They are extremely inspirational, and they'll make you want to get out in the mountains ASAP. Check out the Go Hunt Gear Shop, where they have everything you need for this coming hunting season. Use the code RACK, that's R-A-C-K, for 10% off eligible items in the shop. And you can use the code RACK for $50 in-shop credit when you join as an insider. So sign up for a membership and immediately get $50 back toward hunting gear. Check it out. You won't regret it. You're a mule deer guy. I know you are.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before I hit record here, and you've like, I don't know, man. I think maybe I'm turning into a mule deer guy. I don't know, but we'll get all into it. Talking too much, dude. How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's going good. It's going better now that I'm hearing you're gonna make your way over to the dark side.
I know. That's what it feels like. It feels like it's not the right answer, but it is the right answer. If that makes sense.
You know what though? I think now that you're a local to the mountains, I think you graduate from this like Eastern allure of like, oh, elk, like it's elk, like elk are the thing, which I'm not too proud to admit. Like elk are the staple pursuit for guys that are coming out here for the first time. And then I think once you get a little more immersed in it, you're kind of like, ooh, there's something to this mule deer thing.
I feel more mature saying I'm a mule deer guy versus an elk guy. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, elk are just loud, dumb high schoolers,
right?
And mule deer is it's a gentleman's refined pursuit.
No, dude, it's all awesome. It's all good stuff. But dude, if people haven't heard you, don't follow you, can you give a quick little intro, where you're from, where you're at, all the things?
Yep. Garrison Kinsel, living in Denver now. So do most of my hunting in and around Colorado. Moved up here a couple years ago from Texas. So originally a Texas whitetail guy, still a Texas whitetail guy. And I've always said I'm having this love affair with hunting in the mountains that started, 5 or 6 years ago, but in reality, I'm still always a whitetail guy at heart. So, yeah, it's my story.
Awesome. Yeah. And if people want to go follow Garrison, you can check out his Instagram. We'll plug all that later, but Garrison, gets after in the mountains. I love following his stuff. He's a man of faith, and I saw some mule deer bucks hit the ground this year. So I apologize too, dude. I'm always like so excited to get somebody on a podcast that like I'll send a message like we got to do it, but then like I get so tied up for like weeks, but I'm finally glad we got to sit down and do it. And I think let's chop it all up. Let's get into it.
Well, and dude, you've been busy, and speaking of a man of faith, I want to give you your flowers, man. Like getting to follow you and see this new era that you're coming into, moving out here. I know, you and I haven't talked about it, but I know that that's something God put on your heart. And I know that that's something that you probably didn't, do on a whim or think lightly about. You have to put a lot of thought and intention and prayer into things like that. And, I think the Lord rewards people who listen to the desires that he puts on their hearts. And I'm not saying you killed that big deer the minute you moved there because, you listen to the Lord, but, yeah, dude, I'm excited to see you, reap the fruit of what's been sowed. So that's awesome. And I'm glad you listened to that calling and you're making the move. I know it's not easy.
Thanks, man. It wasn't easy. It was something I thought about for years. And this isn't me trying to sound corny or just like, whatever. I think this move for me is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't have it all figured out yet. The only guy that does is God for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really feel like, again, this isn't just like, this is real talk. Like, I just taking the action steps because I felt it. Like, I felt it. And for people that are listening for the first time, yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania. I moved to Idaho this year, 2,000 miles away, because I love the mountains. I love these adventures. I love all these things. Really, Harris and I did not talk about this before, but
No.
I do feel like, now that I'm here, it's crazy how comfortable I am. And like, I feel like I'm my best self. And that's the thing too, dude. I got excited to get back into my faith. Like, I grew up,
Yeah.
going to a Catholic school and stuff like that, but started not really very consistent going to church, and it was just really old school, traditional and stuff. I mean, that's all excuses, but now that I'm here around good people and just like a different community, and I have so much gratitude just for being here and feeling like I'm fulfilling what I'm supposed to be doing. And again, it sounds corny, but it's the truth. I've made sure to like take some time to, gosh, it's been on my list of things. I always have a list of things I have to do every day. And one of these things for a while has been like open up the Bible and just start, working on your faith a little bit. So going to churches in this area, it's so cool, dude, because there's so many people that go to church here versus back in the small town where I'm from. People are excited about it, and then it gets like me excited about it. And then just trying to read scripture every day and keep going to church and try to be a little bit better than a lukewarm Christian,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and life starts to feel a lot more seamless when you really surrender to the Lord's will. And when you do something that big, like that big of a move, it's honestly not all that different than when you load up and go on some hunt out west for the first time. And you kind of just put this trust in something else, and you kind of feel like maybe you're doing something bigger than you should be. When you put that trust in the Lord, it feels really daunting, and then all of a sudden it feels free, right? And you feel like man, I'm walking in stride, and you feel this kind of weight come off your shoulders because you realize you don't have to carry life. So I'm glad to hear you're feeling settled there. And yeah, man, I wanted to give you your flowers on making that move. I know that that's hard, and it takes thought and consideration.
I appreciate it, man. You have
Yeah.
a good way with words. And lastly to that too, I will say you're speaking facts, because I see this as those trips, like you're saying, on a big out-of-state hunting trip like that, and then this move for me, it's an adventure. And by definition, an adventure is a step into the unknown. And that's why I've been so passionate about growth and adventure. Like, my platform's 4 pillars: adventure, growth, hunting, and fitness. But they're all kind of intermingled together, because when you're going on these extended hunting trips or any sort of adventure like that, you are stepping into the unknown, putting your faith in God, and by pursuing and enduring, you're growing. So I need to make a T-shirt or something that kind of like encapsulates
we'll find a way to tie all that
But
together into a nice
that's
bumper sticker.
yeah, man. And it is biblical, man. It's like it's God's called Abraham, and that's what he says, go. Like, go.
It's biblical.
He's
It's not
an
just
old
bro
man.
talk.
Yeah. And so you just got to do it. But gosh, this is, dude, we could have a whole podcast on this. But,
dude, I could go down a rabbit hole on this all day, and I felt that same calling on my life, and it's why I told you, off record, I spent more time this year taking friends, probably double the amount of time on other people's tags that I did on my own, because I feel like that's what the Lord's called me to do, and He's made it pretty clear to me. And I think, the more time you allow yourself to spend out here doing these hunts, being solo, I'll admit it, I hate being solo, honestly, on hunts. I've learned that, but I know I need it. The more the Lord's plans for your life become clear. And I could go down a whole rabbit hole on how I think that's what society needs. Men specifically, I think men 100%. Need more of that. And I think if you could really just go push yourself to do some hard crap and spend some time in silence, you're I'm not going to say life becomes easy, because it doesn't, it never is. But the Lord's plans for your life become a little bit more apparent. But yeah, we could go down a long rabbit hole.
Yeah, we could. Well, gosh, my mind's racing because yeah, we'll save that for your third time on, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
But we'll get more into the mule deer here, and
Mm-hmm.
but again, dude, I no, I appreciate all those words though.
Yeah,
Didn't
dude,
know that
for
was
sure.
coming, but yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it though. So I saw a few mule deer bucks hit the ground, all good looking
Mm-hmm.
bucks. Your buck was a dandy buck, and we'll definitely have that here in the episode. But where do we start? Because I think I saw the first one hit the ground early season.
Yeah, early season. So I've got a couple hunting buddies, but if you hear me talk about, there's probably two of them that I do most of my hunting with, like almost like a team style hunting. Which if I were to put any, bullet point on the year, as far as things I learned, that was probably one of the biggest, was just the value in having a buddy. He and I kind of agreed to really focus on mule deer this year. The three of us really, but one of them got an archery tag, the other one got a muzzy tag, and I got a late tag. And so we kind of all agreed that in some capacity, we try to be there for the three of each other. So I did a lot of scouting for two friends of mine who are out of state, and did a lot of scouting for those archery and muzzy tags. My archery buddy ended up wounding a buck and didn't recover him, but we were on some great deer. I wasn't there when he shot the buck, but it was a really good buck from the video I saw. And then the other one, maybe a week after that, was the muzzy buck, and we shot him. We shot him day two. We missed a really, really big buck on opening day. Had a hang fire on a muzzy. It was our first time muzzy hunting. Hang fire and missed this buck at 40 yards. But he was our number one target buck. But ended up coming together on another awesome buck the next day. So yeah, came out swinging. First hunt was awesome. It was my first time getting to do muzzy, and I might be a muzzy guy now. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that muzzleloader hunt does sound really cool. And just so, okay, we'll back up. So this is early September, correct?
Early September. And we had some debate about when we wanted to finally do a muzzy hunt for the first time, because for context, in Colorado, all of the seasons in Colorado kind of fluctuate based on Saturdays. Saturdays are almost always your opener, except for first rifle, I think. And so they move on the calendar. And so if you're trying to track the rut, if you're trying to track when seasons start the earliest so that your scouting is in theory the most valuable, things move. And so muzzy this year wasn't what I would call early. So we thought maybe, hey, maybe you should save your points and we'll try muzzy when it moves up further. I want to say the opener was like a 13th, but some years it'll move up to like the 7th, 8th, 9th, which is big for two reasons. A, if you're patterning deer, they're closer to their summer pattern. B, it's less time for the archery guys to go in there and muck them up.
Why are you looking at me?
Well, I'm looking at you because I did have an archery guy go muck one of our deer up, and I got it on trail camera. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Oh yeah.
This guy, mid 170s, like awesome type 4-point with a dropper. And we have this buck walking by our pinch point that we had found on camera at 3:30 in the afternoon. And no shit, 30 minutes later, two Dick and Harrys come walking by with his arrow knocked in his blue jeans, like looking around.
Really?
And we never saw that buck again. So
yeah.
So anyways, yeah, that was like a September 12th, 13th, 14th start date. But archery opens the 2nd, and I hunted 2 or 3 days with my archery buddy, and then 4 days with my muzzy buddy.
Okay. And then again, back up here real quick. So we're in this area, going in here you hunted archery and muzzleloader the same area?
No, different areas. So I was running around all summer like a madman scouting for.
That's what I wanted to ask about the scouting here for this muzzy buck. So
yeah,
walk me through it. Yeah.
Yep. We can go into that. So the muzzy tag was a 2-point tag, I think 2-point draw for non-resident. And it's a good unit. But it's not, it's like you can imagine, it's 2 points. It's nothing to write home about.
Okay.
And it's a tough tag for a muzzy tag. Whereas the archery tag, lots of high country, maybe not incredible numbers, but good high country basins, probably similar to what you were hunting. So scouting in both of those areas looked a little different, and the units were about an hour-ish apart on the highway. But a couple weekends in a row, I would run to the furthest one, scout a little, and then hit the other one on the way back. And each of my buddies did different weekends throughout the summer to come scout. So I did my own scouting a bunch. Archery buddy came up and we did one weekend together. Muzzy buddy came up and we did one weekend together. And then we felt fairly ready to hit the ground running.
Okay, cool. And then where you ended up for this muzzy tag, where it all came together, were those areas where you had boots on the ground?
Yeah. And this one's funny. The muzzy spot we ended up hunting, we had, I mean, you know how it is when you chop it up with guys on X and whatever, you end up with way more pins than you're ever going to hit. And I go out there for my first weekend scouting. I want to say it was right after 4th of July. And I hike up to this knob. It is my number one spot. And you know, your number one spot hardly ever works out. But we were really excited about this one because we could see a lot of country. Get up there. I glassed 3 hours in the evening, all the way until dark, and I saw one buck, and he was basically next to my truck. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do. This was my number one spot. I feel very convicted to give this spot another go, but I didn't see a deer. And I get back to my truck. I've got one bar of service, and I call my wife, and she doesn't know. I mean, she gets all this, but she doesn't really know. And she goes, "Well, honey, I think you should trust your gut and stay there." So I stayed there, and I got up the next morning, lit up. The hillside's lit up with deer.
She knows.
But and I was like, whatever. Yeah, she knows.
Yeah.
But hillside lights up, tons of bucks. And long story short, that ends up being generally the same area where we killed the buck. Same area where we scouted when he came back to scout with me. I think in that 1 to 2 mile radius, we ended up with like 6 target bucks. 6 target bucks, all about the size of the one he killed, if not bigger. So, yeah, I guess one of the lessons learned there was you can't write stuff off too quick. I know you've got 100 other pins you want to go check, but if you really liked it, if your gut tells you to go there, you're probably better off checking it that next morning or the next evening or whatever it is than leaving and knowing that it's still going to nag at you, right? Like you may leave it and you're still not satisfied. You're going to go, damn, I need to go back there and check and make sure that wasn't a fluke.
Right. And I've seen, I don't know if this is like a rule of thumb or what, but in general, usually have better luck turning up deer in the morning.
Bingo.
And yeah, but that's not to say like never, get your butt out there in the evenings and get on your spotter. But I've heard that a lot. You got to give things at least one of each.
Especially early summer. I don't know why that proved to be the case the last couple of years for me. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a regional thing. Early summer, it seems like it's always the mornings. And so this summer really reaffirmed that for me. I'm not going to leave anywhere that is like at the top of my list until I've given it a good morning.
And it seems like the time from like first light to like when you might start losing deer going to bed, again, kind of pending where you are, like if you're in the Alpine or kind of like a mix, but whenever they're going to bed, you might lose them. That stretch of like deer are seeable right now seems to be longer in the morning than the evenings as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the evenings, it might just be, last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes, especially for a more mature buck. But that morning, it just seems like you got a bigger window too.
I've got some crazy footage I'll send you later, but we had 4 mature, like truly mature bucks on their feet, 10 a.m., snort wheezing at each other and pushing each other around, like bullying each other in the wide open. I mean, like 300 yards from timber, just messing around, like posturing up at each other. Yeah, your windows are a hell of a lot better in that morning.
That circumstance you're talking about, was this at this time of year?
No.
or
I'm
later?
talking like
Yeah.
summer scouting, like July.
Whoa, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean posturing up at each other in July.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a really cool morning. One of the coolest mornings of the summer for us.
that's really cool.
Yeah, it was wild.
And I like asking guys too. You said you went out 4th of July, right after 4th of July. Is that when you kind of start saying like, okay, I'm going to start my scouting now?
Yeah, I think there's layers to scouting. And if you are kind of at that first layer of I want to go learn the roads, I want to see maybe where deer are. Um, yeah, you should consider June. Maybe just go learn the country. The problem is there's some deer that like they might change the country that they're using or how they use it from mid-June on. And then the other more obvious one is you don't know what things are. You don't know if they're developed. I mean, they might be out to like the base of their G2s, and then you don't know if they're going to fork or whatever. But we're not the most. I say we, me and my buddies, we're not the most discriminating trophy hunters. I mean, usually I can tell if a buck's got a pot belly and a square head on him, I'm going to come look for him again. But it's more about the movement and the patterning of the deer. I would hate to find something in June, watch it for a full weekend, think I know where he is, and by August he's 2 basins over.
Right.
So yeah, the
Gotcha.
fresher data, the better.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So then, okay, so this buck where it all came together for this muzzy hunt, what was he
Mhm.
doing? Where was he at? Sounds like he turned up a lot of deer or a lot of bucks that morning. Were the bucks together? Were you picking them out here and there? What was going on?
So that morning, we were fresh off of the heartbreak from the day before on the big buck. He's definitely 30 wide. Beams, just silly beams. They kind of fell off at the end, which I've always wanted, but like his front forks were just nothing. But he was one of those bucks that you just look at frame wise, body, age. He was so old, definitely regressing. Split ears, just beat up face. He was our number one buck, and I think in terms of tape, he probably would have taped out like fourth or fifth on the hit list. But he was the oldest and the coolest. But anyways, so we're fresh off that heartbreak. Get up the next morning, glass, and we we were looking kind of on the fringes of these openings that we had been glassing because the deer were kind of coming out into some of these openings and feeding the way they do. And then by sunup, especially when you get some of these like kind of cloudy false sunups, where it's like there's not this beaming sunlight in the morning. It's cloudy, and so it kind of false rises or whatever. We were noticing they were hitting the timber edges pretty quick, and so your window of time was limited. So we're glassing the edges of these openings and looking, and we see a couple deer, see some whatever. Dude, smack dab in the middle of this opening, after like an hour of us glassing the edges, I mean 500 yards like from the closest timber edge, is this buck just beating the tar out of this tree. Just bright. The first thing I saw wasn't even his body, it was the red on his antlers, just dripping velvet, dripping blood. And I was like, wow, we need to go kill that buck.
Was that part of your reel you just posted where he was
Maybe.
just raking off the velvet? Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, no, that was a different buck. That's a different buck.
Different buck. Okay.
But I can tell you about that buck too. That was really cool.
Okay.
That was a late season buck. But yeah, so he's raking the crap out of this tree. And the minute he stops, he kind of looks up, sobers up, and is like, oh man, I need to get back to timber. And lucky enough, my buddy just cut him off. And it was funny. We had that hang fire and he missed at 40 yards and then just hammers this thing at like 80, which is still that's not like a far shot or anything, but we just were laughing at, we couldn't get it done on our target buck at 40, but hammered this buck at 80. And yeah, it is super cool buck. Just insane bases, like just super knobby bases. I think we both kind of underjudged him till we got up there. But it was just cool. I'd never gotten to take a buck that was dripping velvet like that. I mean, he still hadn't even polished it all off. But yeah, that was awesome. That was such a cool moment for us. His biggest buck. Yeah, couldn't have been cooler.
Yeah, I'm looking at it again right now. Very cool looking buck.
Yeah, dude, he was an awesome deer, and oh my gosh, the amount of fat on that thing.
Really?
Yeah, dude, the fat cap on his backstrap was just silly. Which, I'm a late season mule deer guy. I love that. I like rutting deer. I think it's awesome. But I got a taste of that buck because we split up some of the meat. And man, it's pretty good when they're fresh off the summer like that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my palate, dude, but I can't I don't know. Deer just tastes like deer to me. Like I'm the
Yeah,
worst at that. I don't know, but
yeah.
that's interesting though. I like this
Hmm.
deer's. I like his backs for sure.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, really cool looking buck.
I mean, I'm not a big tape guy. It's not my end all be all. I think taping deer so much almost for a living in Texas, because that's kind of how we run that's how most people run their program in Texas is, you know, charge people for the hunt, but then to be fair to everyone, you kind of change the charge over everything based on what it scores when it hits the ground. Mature buck in Texas could score 110, it could score 170. So you learn to really score stuff a lot, and score matters more. So I've kind of grown to hate scoring stuff, but it's always fun to score them after. That buck went 172, and we didn't really.
Whoa,
Yeah, I
really?
don't know. I think we kind of both pegged him as like a 160 type buck, but the mass, dude, mass hides everything.
I would like. I don't. People got to go follow you and check it out, obviously. But really, really cool, man.
Yeah, such a cool
Yeah,
deer. Just a big heavy four.
yeah, love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. Let's move to the next one then.
Next one would have been uh,
October, late October.
October.
Harry.
Oh yeah, yeah, dude, Harry's buck. That was hilarious.
Dude, this is a cool looking buck.
Yeah, dude. So Harry's a buddy of mine in Denver. He's kind of like he's like you and me. He's a big hobby guy. He's got his hobbies, he's got his passions, and I've always bugged him. I said, man, you really would love this Western hunting stuff. He's got a garden, he likes to cook, and I was like, man, you'd love this. So we just decided to go do it. And I said, man, I've got a hunt right after the I'm gonna leave right after the first weekend of second, but let's do second and let's just go shoot your mule deer. So he had enough mountain clothing and everything to get by, but my gun, my pack, my binos, everything. And I said, let's just go give it a run for a day or two, and I'll leave Sunday. And so we went into that fully expecting like, hey, we'll see what's around for the first day. But frankly, I had to call him off a Forky once we saw that buck, because he really, I mean, that's what we were there for. And
Yeah.
I wasn't going to tell him no. I said, I want you to get your first kill and have your experience and get your meat. But yeah, then I saw that buck, and that's the buck that was raking that thing. I think that's the one you're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
But
That's so funny though. He was gonna pull up on a Forky when.
yeah,
People got to check this one out too with the
so,
kicker on the back, or both, two of them.
Yeah, he's got. I think he has matching kickers.
Yes.
Oh, and that was
on
the
his
funny
back
thing
forks.
Yeah, Harry was like, he's like, what'd you say he's got? I said he's got matching kickers. He was like, all right, I'm gonna tell all my buddies that hunt. Like, I killed one with matching kickers. I was like, yeah, you tell them, boy.
Yeah, you make sure you tell them.
You make sure you tell them. Big four matching kickers.
So cool. So cool.
But yeah, man, that was such a cool deal. That buck, first weekend of second, so pretty early. It's late October, but pretty early. We
Tough
were
time
hunting,
to kill a deer too.
Still a tough time on that first weekend, especially with no snow. I hate to do it in a way, but if it's someone's first deer in the context, it matters. We really were hunting forkies, and truthfully, the way you hunt forkies is you hunt doe. So we're hunting does, and I should have known better that anything can happen in late October, and as a consequence of looking for does, found a big buck, and I'm not gonna say he was full on rutting those does, but he was interested enough that he hung around, and Harry got him a good one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, again, is this a place you've been to before?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of had scouted around and everything like that. What did that kind of whole environment look like as far as deer?
So it's a unit I know, 9,200, 9,500 somewhere. Kind of a transition area. I think that unit people would call more of a high country unit, but we were kind of on the lower end. found a pocket that I know it has does. It's always had does. It's got resident does, and then it is by nature in that migration path. So the more there's already does there, and then more will kind of file in. Not too far from a highway, not too far from anything. Quite frankly, I've never seen a buck of that caliber in there. But I mean, I've seen decent bucks, and we actually ended up killing another buck on that same group of does during third. So maybe there is something to that. But yeah, we were just glassing, and we'd found a couple other forky 3-point type bucks, and then once we saw that guy, I said, Harry, so we saw him the day before, and we tried to kill him that evening. Didn't get it done, and I had Harry and I just back out, and I said, look, man, I know tomorrow's Sunday. I know you gotta leave. I gotta leave, but I would really love another crack at that buck. Sun comes up, and we've got a much better, clearer opportunity at a forky, and he's between us and the truck, and then there's this buck, and I said, man, I want to go kill that buck. And Harry was kind of like,
You got to do
I said,
it.
please, dude, let's just give it this one shot on this buck. I bet we can go kill that forky on the way back to the truck if this fails. And the does actually kind of busted us and then moved downhill back towards the truck in a way. And yeah, basically we just backed back out from where we were, crept around the other side, popped over, and Harry shot this buck. Harry, actually, funny enough, he's very super just knowledgeable, good at anything that involves machinery, guns, whatever. And he shot a gun before. He had a misfire, shot
Jeez,
clean over
man.
that. Yeah, shot clean over that buck, and goes, "What the hell?" And I go, "What?" And he goes, "The gun went off." I go, "Yeah, the gun went off." And he goes, "Your trigger's so light." And I go, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "I just wasn't expecting it." And I go, "Well,"
My gosh.
I go, "Well, reload and put one in him," and he dumped him like right there in his tracks. So,
Wow.
but yeah, it was a funny morning, and but yeah, dude, I was so stoked for Harry, and it took a while, but I do think he knows what he got now. So I'm glad we got that one done. But hell of a buck. I think especially for a low point unit in Colorado, I don't know many people.
It's just so interesting. Like even some of these low point units, these like hunts where I don't know, somebody coming from out of state or something is just like, something about it, man. Like, I mean, you can turn up a good buck in a lot of units.
Colorado just has those genetics. And Colorado's in a weird place right now. I think there's a lot of mature deer that have gotten to be mature because they're 3x2s, 3x4s. There's something funky and wrong with them. I love those deer. Those always get my preference. But by nature, Colorado will never not kick out giants randomly because of the genetics. A buck really could get to 3 years old because a couple of guys missed him on these low point units, and he just gets big and throws some trash. And that's that. The buck's not a monster by any means, but there's I don't know that many guys running around in that unit on that tag during second that would pass that buck. And we just, I say we got lucky. I know that unit really well, and it's taken me a long time learning that unit. And we just found a little hidey hole, found a crack, and got it done.
Yeah. No, dude, luck had nothing to do with it. Yeah, you knew what you were doing, knew where you were at, put the time
Yeah.
in. And when you said the buck, okay, so when you said the buck was with the does,
Mm-hmm.
does that mean the does are over here and the buck's kind of like away from them, but with them? You know what I mean? Or was he like physically within feet of the does, if that makes sense?
It was really cool to watch this buck behave the way he did and get to explain it to Harry. And I'm sure Harry got tired of just listening to me ramble about deer stuff because I sound like the weirdest person ever because I love talking about deer. But it was cool to watch. I mean, imagine they're on this really big face, but the bucks, the handful of bucks that are on that face and the does are using it very differently at that time of year. However, as dark or as light faded that night that we found him, we got to watch him just slowly feed his way down to go check them. And the last thing we saw was him moving around, scent checking all of them. sun comes up the next morning and they're separated again. So that tells you that at that time he's interested enough to be in the same vicinity as those does, not interested enough that he's willing to babysit them and, really put his life on the line during sunlight hours. So it was really cool to get to observe that deer behavior.
And give me a date here, October 20.
I think it had even like the 25th, 26th.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's the thing. Don't ever let people tell you like the rut is a spectrum, right? And so don't ever let people tell you like, well, the rut hasn't started, has started. We're here on the rut. We're there on the rut. It is a spectrum of when does start their estrus. And it is, I mean, think about when fawns are born, right? They're not all born on the same date. So that tells you the gestation period and all that. That tells you some does start like October 25th, right? And some are going to be really, really late. And some bucks behave differently. Some are really horny and they act weird onto October 25th. Some are really old and they could care less. So don't let people tell you like, well, it hasn't started or the rut's not happening this year or whatever it is. It's happening somewhere. It might not be happening in front of you. It might not be happening while the sun's up, but it's happening.
And I take it probably was, as far as weather, you said there was no snow. Was it pretty warm too?
Yeah, it was warm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then did it seem like that group of does, the deer, were they on the move? Like migratory on the move or just
That was a pretty it's like I said, that was kind of a resident group of does.
Okay.
And then deer would continue to funnel into that area until about fourth season. Then they've kind of moved on because, like I said, it is a little bit more of a high country unit. But I guess if I had advice to people, that's really not a sexy spot. But I'd done enough hunting in that unit that I just dropped pins on where there's does. And it took my buddy calling me and saying, hey, I want to go hunt, and me thinking, where should I hunt to find a forky? For me to actually sit down on top of that group of does at sunlight and sunset. And only then did I realize, oh, wow, mature bucks might actually come check these does. Because quite frankly, I've known about those does for a long time and I never checked them because I was like, that spot's too obvious. It gets too bothered. And lo and behold, we kill that buck. And then a couple weeks later, we kill another probably older buck, a little smaller, but older, off that same hillside of does. So I guess one of the morals of the story there, if I was to give a nugget to anyone, is like, dude, your onyx is going to get crowded, but drop pins, even when you don't think you're going to come back to them. A group of 10 plus does is significant. A hillside of rubs, wallows, drop it, right? Drop the pin. Don't walk by and go, oh, dude, that's right by the trailhead, or oh, this is too far back here. You never know when you're going to want to come back to that knowledge and call on it. So, yeah, that ended up being one of my top producers this year.
That's awesome. And I learned that lesson so deeply hunting whitetails on public land back east. And this is like big woods public land. This wasn't, on a farm or over corn or anything like that. Like, so you have to be dialed in. And it's crazy. Like, I started to, over the last few years before I moved, when I was doing that kind of hunting, anytime I saw a group of does or I kind of knew where a group of does were, like it was actually fascinating to where maybe you hunt those spots early. Yeah, you don't see bucks, but then you just learn that like the bucks are going to be there. Mm-hmm. And I remember the last hunt I did doing that before I moved out here, I went to a spot where I know does would hang out and they would be there even in like later September through October. And I didn't go there at all. And all I did was plop myself right there in a tree. And sure enough, was right near a scrape, and this buck, he wasn't a big buck or anything, but good enough for me.
It's a buck.
Came right in, and he was just cruising through looking for those does, like just nose down on a mission. So it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like they're there, like that's what they're looking for. Like that's your feed, your buckbrush, your for whitetail, like your acorns, like that's it. Mm-hmm. Like hunt it.
And I will tell you, the biggest reason you drop that pin is for the second time. The second time you go is the most valuable time. You might think the first time you find them is the most valuable. The second time is what confirms fact from fiction, right? If I go back there and there's nothing, I go back there again, there's nothing. Now I can go, okay, maybe that was a fluke. But if I go back again, especially if I go back again at a different time of year, I saw those does in this specific group we're talking about. I think I saw them for the first time there during fourth, found them again during second. And that tells me they like to be here. This isn't a mistake. So the second time you go back, that's when you really, honestly, that's when you change the color on the pin. It goes from, blue or question mark or whatever to, hey, we need to at least revisit this. And it's like you said, that buck might not have been a big buck. Half the bucks I see with these does aren't big, but now you can go back. The trap is set for the time that there is a big buck. And it takes revisiting spots. And I know guys coming from out east hate to hear that because, it takes time. But the more I've hunted out here, the more I've learned that's the lesson is repeats are worth everything.
Yeah. And I remember we even talked about that the first time we recorded, coming back to spots.
Yeah.
I have this drive of just going and looking at new places and everything.
I know.
I know. I had even my spot in Colorado though, just learning that, coming back this year to bow hunt it, dude, game changer.
Like, yeah. I mean, how much quicker did you get on deer?
We backpacked in.
Yeah.
My hunting partner was like, well, we got all the way down there and had to get a hotel. And then he was like, well, let's just wake up at 3, get to the trailhead by like 4. And he was like, if we just haul it, 4,000 foot climb, we could probably glass something at first light. Like, let's not waste time. And I was like, twist my arm. Like, okay.
Yeah, fine.
So that's where we did, but we knew that basin, and we knew that was going to produce deer. So it's like day before opener, glassing up a ton of bucks, have a beautiful morning. And then it was just like, I just posted the trailer. Like you'll see it like in the hunt film. People listening, yeah. So I got that whole hunt film done. That'll be up we're recording this on December 21st. It's going to go up the 23rd.
All right.
Yeah, we're glassing up bucks day before opener, and it's the best. I'm just sitting there I can't stop smiling, and we go and set up camp. Like we get water, and all day I'm like this. Like it's just the best. And I've been on hunts and I've been on hunts where it's not like that. It's like day 3, 4, 5 of the hunt, and like you're chasing your tail, and it's always those hunts will still happen, of course, but again, whole point being learning spots, really understanding your country can do far and away better for you than to keep bouncing at times.
Yeah, and don't mistake what I'm saying for saying if you find deer in an area on your first hunt, you have to stick to that area. You don't have to go back there every single time. If you hunt there all of one season and don't kill anything, don't think that okay, I saw, tiny bucks there, all of that hunt. Next year I'm going to go back and there's suddenly going to be big bucks. But do know that you've learned something. And you should extrapolate the features, the time of year, the face, all that stuff, and take that to somewhere else within the same unit, and know that now you've got that confidence, like you just said, to roll in there opening morning and go, screw it, I'm gonna head up there sight unseen in the dark, and I'm gonna move with some swagger. And if I don't find anything there, cool. I feel confident because I've gathered data previously. So yeah, repeating helps a lot.
For sure. There's that extreme other end of you talk to guys we've been going back to the same valley the last 3-4 years, still haven't killed anything. And it's like, obviously don't do that either. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude. Before we get into your buck, which I want to hear all about, you had some other stories, right? You took out some Eastern guys or some other first time guys.
Yeah, so
let's hear those stories.
That was my last hunt of the year. Pretty much everyone I hunted with this year was coming from somewhere else.
Okay.
Which
you
cool,
were full-time guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
These are all friends, man, and they're now how it is. You share hunts with people; they're buddies for life. But they're all friends. a lot of them are like my really good hunting buddies that I've hunted with a ton. Some of them, it's their first time. And the fourth season hunt for elk was both of these guys' first times. Friends of mine from college, both coming from sea level, one of them coming from Miami. They spent, the whole summer training and getting ready. And
oh, dude, I love it.
no, dude, it's great.
Yeah.
It was great. And we had a group chat going, and they're shooting and doing everything right. And, we ended up, it was hot. I mean, a really hot fourth season. I mean, most of the West was hot, not a whole lot of snow. But we still got into elk. They made it a little more challenging, but we still got into elk. And, we had a heartbreaker. We finally found a group of elk that were going to give us a good play, and made this 1.6 mile 600 or 700 vert trek into these elk. And these guys are, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, but they're coming from sea level. It's their first time doing it.
No, I know that can be hard out there.
Yeah,
like,
and
trust me.
We're at 11,000, so they are dumping sweat, and we get
all
up
the
to
way
the
up
top.
there, fourth season.
Yeah, dumping sweat. We get up to the top, but especially my buddy from Miami he's you know how it is. He's sweating and looks like he's dying, but he's just got this shit-eating grin. So happy because he's like, "We're doing it, man. Like, I'm doing the thing I've been training for." And I was like, "Yeah, man. Hell yeah, you are." So we get up to this spot that I picked out, and the script is being read. The elk are right where we thought they'd be. They're 280 yards, and I poke my head out. They're right where we left them. I look to my left. There is a perfect flat spot for everyone to lay down. I was going to put both these guys on the gun, and we're just going to let these elk have it.
Yeah.
And I turn around and I go, "All right, yeah, here it is. Like, come up, we're right here." And my poor buddy takes 2 steps, and after that whole hike of being so sure-footed and rocking it, has a yard sale on trekking pole, just clunk, 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 and those elk took off for the next county. We just sat there, poor guy sat there heartbroken, and he goes, it was insightful as much as it sucked. He was like, "Does it really happen like that? You can make a 99-yard drive and fumble at the one?" And I said, "Yeah, that's pretty par for the course, man, especially if you're archery hunting."
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah, me and Travis Nowotny talked about that because I saw this guy talking about entrepreneurial success, whatever, and I was like, "God, that is hunting." And he said,
Yeah.
When you're 90% there, you're only 50% done. It's the last bit that means the most. And fumbling at the 1 yard line. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, and it sucks. I obviously had to let them catch their breath and we regroup, but he kind of looked at me real funny when I was like, "All right, get up, we're going back to the truck." And he's like, "Hold on, dude, like, let me just think about this for a second." Like, kind of, and I was like, "Dude, we can't. You can't wallow in it. We got to get up and keep moving." And I was like, I'll flip some music on or something. Like, we got to, like, you just got to lighten the mood. And like, I was like, if we get back to the truck in an hour, we can drive over here and we'll be there by dark. And sure enough, we found more elk and I had a play that evening because we hustled. But you know how it is. The long silent walk back to the truck, and I'm trying to like not smile because I know what they're going through. But it was cool to be a part of that and watch it unfold because it's there's a lot of stuff you learn in moments like that, and it was cool. But all in all, didn't kill anything on that hunt. What's funny is the next day after that, we also got another learning lesson. Went to go glass from a master vantage point, like master, like glassing 3 miles away. We walked from our truck to this perch. It's like a opening in the trees. I hadn't seen a track on that side of the mountain in 2 days of going over there. I hadn't seen any tracks on the road driving in. We walked to the perch without a gun. And
oh my God.
In between us and the truck, I didn't know that we didn't have it. Or actually, I kind of had a hunch that my buddy wasn't going to bring his gun because he was kind of talking about like, "Yeah, I'm so excited to just glass from the truck this evening." Like, whatever. Dude, we're 50 yards into this walk to the glassing spot, and some dude cutting a Christmas tree about a mile back on the road must have spooked these bulls. They came running to 30 yards and are just stopped. 4 bulls stopped staring at us in the timber.
And nobody has a gun.
No, and I turned around. My buddy was behind me, and I knew he didn't have one, but I still turned and I was like, "You didn't bring the gun, did you?" And he goes, "No, no, 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 no. I can go get it. I'm gonna go get it from the truck." And he starts running back to the truck, and I was like, "It's over." Uh, anyways, tons of fun lessons on that truck. We were in elk every day. We saw some pretty damn good bulls. Um, but yeah, man, it's tough when you've got a quarter inch of snow on the ground and the elk are at 11.2. So, but yeah, that was fourth
Crazy.
season.
I think
Yep.
that's a good tip though, because I've had so many times, even on like a backcountry hunt, where I leave my weapon just to go like
Do
check
not
something,
get lazy.
and
Yeah, can't
it
do it.
hasn't like burned me yet, but like
Hmm.
every time I start walking away, and I'm like, you idiot, you know this is gonna happen.
Yeah, that is. I will say, as you know, quote unquote experienced, as I feel like I am some days, having that one etched in my brain is gonna serve me some good. I think that one is seared in my memory. Um, but man, it was painful. It was painful. And the best part is I immediately go, damn, dude, like those were some good bulls. Like that was awesome. And my buddy goes, and they were right by the truck.
Just like, yeah, it's not
And
even like you were. Oh
I was like,
man,
yeah, of course that's what he was thinking. Was like, dude, that was a 50-yard pack out.
get out, man. Well, they
Yeah,
had to have been stoked, like just
yeah,
to come out and
yeah. Oh, dude,
do all
we're
that.
already planning next year.
Yeah, I
It
love
was a
that.
good time, but I also told them, like I said, with the whole 99-yard drive, I said that is par for the course. You come out on your first hunt on a really crappy fourth season tag that has crummy harvest success. Like, yeah, this is par for the course. Being in elk is something to be happy about.
Yeah,
Um,
ab-
but
for
dude, I mean,
sure.
you know how hot it was this year. It was horrible. We really struggled to find elk in good playable spots, especially for them.
Tell me a little bit more about that. It's fourth season.
Hmm.
I know how hot it was. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So you took these guys all the way up there. You know what was going through your mind? Was this a spot where it's like, okay, I'm going to take you with the weather. I'm going to take you to my second season spot in
Yeah.
fourth season or something like that. Like what were you thinking?
I'll be honest, I really didn't know. I've never had a true, genuine late season tag with that little snow on the ground. And deer, from my experience, and it seems to be what the data shows, are more apt to stick to a calendar. I think snow will initiate a migration a little bit more with deer. It'll make them say, "Hey, I'm up to my belly. I need to get out of here." But even if it's hot by November 20th, they're going to be where they usually would be by November 20th, to a degree, right? They might use the
Literally
landscape a
talked
little
to a
differently.
fishing. I
Yeah.
don't mean to cut you off. I literally talked to a fish and game biologist about this. Go ahead, go ahead. But keep
But
going.
elk,
No, yeah.
elk, I think if the feed is fine up high and I mean, think about how much taller they are than a deer. I think if the feed's fine up high and there's no pressure up there, why not be up there? Especially when you're an elk and you can cover 5 miles overnight. Why not? And so what I did with that was I said, guys, I don't have a ton of experience under these conditions. The best thing I know to do is back out to a 30,000 foot view. So we went back to master vantage points, and I said, we're going to go back to school. And by doing that, we found a lot of elk, and that's what gave us our best shots. My buddy also had a really close call a shot. He had a close call on a herd the last morning, and we were probably 6 inches of a rise away from getting it done. It was just these elk were on the other side of the rise, and we couldn't get him to move right, and he had a flight, so we had to get out of there. But um, doing that 30,000 foot view is what got us into elk again. I checked a lot of what I thought were my best honey holes, and some of the elk were there. They just weren't being cooperative in terms of daylight hours. It was so hot that you would catch faint glimpses of them in the early mornings and evenings, but then they're in the timber. And then what am I going to do? Take two dudes, three of us, three bodies in total, and go marching through the timber when they really don't have a ton of experience. I said, no, guys, we need to back out and find elk that'll play the game. And it might take a little more work, but we need to find elk that we can make a move on, and we did. So that's how I ended up finding elk at 11.2 or whatever it was. So yeah, that's how that season went.
Yeah, way to think on your feet there, because it's one thing to get in there in the timber late season, still hunt by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's still very difficult, but to have 3 guys, yeah,
It's
tough.
tough. It's a different ball game, and I didn't want to put them in that situation. Yeah, we backed out, did 30,000 foot, and it worked to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Worked 99%, but fumbled at the one, like I said.
That's it. So back to what you said though about seems like deer will move more in a calendar than elk. So I had this like late cow tag. I was out in this one. It was just for like one unit. I'm still like a non-resident here in Idaho,
Mhm.
but I still had it, and I was like, okay, something to do. Like I'm still
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
try to go kill one, but it was so fun to get to watch a bunch of mule deer, a bunch of rutting mule deer bucks. Like that was fun. Got a lot of good digiscoping with that, but
Oh, yeah.
could not find any elk. I mean, there were some down on private or whatever that just kind of like lived there. But I called Fish and Game, and I still am like, I'm a fan of doing this. Like I recommend people do it, but don't call and just say like, where are the elk? Like, have conversation, be a little charismatic. And we got into conversations like that. And we were talking about the deer. I forget how it came up, but literally, yeah, I even think that's how he put it too. Because I was saying like it seems like the deer will still move because it was hot here too. A little bit more on a calendar. These elk, I just don't see it. I don't see them moving hot weather when I'm looking
Mhm.
across the main road into the next unit up where it goes up to 10,000. Like that's where they still are. And basically, long and the short, he said you're 100% accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, just a little side note on that. Calling biologists is different for everybody. Every biologist is different. Every state's different, for that matter. Some people really make it a priority to call you back and help you out. Um, Others don't, and that's fine. Sometimes it's really they're busy. It's not always
Right.
their
Yeah.
they get bombarded. I know in Colorado they get bombarded. Um, my approach has always been call a biologist to test hypotheses, not to just see what free information they'll give you. So come to them with, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Do you think that's true or false? Do you think that's good or bad? I think that's a easier way to let the conversation flow, but B, you're going to get more information out of them doing that than if you just ask questions like, well, has anyone killed a 180 here in a little while? Oh, what's the biggest deer you've ever seen? What's the state of the union? Just say, hey, look, I've got a couple questions here, and I'm really considering these two areas. One of the best questions I ever asked a bio that led to a long rabbit hole of discussion was, hey, to me, it seems like this unit could almost be cut in half by this road system based on the terrain on one side and the terrain on the other. Do you think that's true or not? And he said, that's a very astute observation, and you're right. Let me tell you why. And then just boom from there. So long story short, just don't sound like an idiot. Ask pointed questions. They want to know you've done your research, and you're going to learn a lot more in doing that.
For sure. I think that's a great tip.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to finally Garrison's buck this year. So I'm looking again at it, and dude, just so awesome. And I really loved what you wrote in the caption and everything here. So just take us through that whole adventure there.
Yeah, so this tag runs a month, and it's so I actually went out there in October when it opened, even though 90% of people I talked to said, that's a little bit of a waste. Maybe not a waste, but like, hey, unless you can live out there and scout it a ton, and this is not a close unit to me, unless you can live out there and scout it a ton, which I didn't. I mean, you already heard about how busy I was doing all my other scouting. That opening weekend's not the best. Everyone knows early mid-October is not the best time. A lot of the big bucks are in hiding, but I wanted to go out anyways. So I actually flew out there for that one. Got a rental car, drove around in a souped up blue rental Ford Bronco like an idiot. And
just doing it though, man. I
just
love
doing
it.
it though, man. And I
Yeah.
wanted to learn the unit. I wanted to see some stuff. I saw a buck, as a matter of fact, that I probably would have tipped the trigger on. And he ghosted me on opening day, and come to find out, I think that buck was doing what my buck ended up doing and running a loop from public to private. because I saw him, I don't know, hour before dark, the day before season opener in October. And in that hour, I watched him cover probably a mile. And in the weirdest way, like not casually, like very intentionally cover a mile headed towards private. Never saw him again the rest of the hunt. But I did see a couple does, but 3 days of scouting, a day of PTO, a plane, a rental car, all this stuff. I saw 12 deer in 3 days.
Wow.
And I was like, man, what's going on here? Am I doing this wrong? Should I come back here? Do I need to go to a completely different part of the unit? But like I said, I marked everything. Even all 12 of those deer, they got marked. So I come back.
I love how you're telling this though, because I see stuff like online, like content, like people want to find more success and stuff, and it's like I wish people shared more about like their scouting and this kind of stuff. Like this is I'm like for Garrison in this scenario, like this is what it took. Like 3 days, a flight, a rental car. Like I just wish that could be beat more, into the industry essentially, not just, and I'm the guy that loves to exercise and train to hunt and shoot my bow and all this stuff, but it's like, you got to get out there. You have to learn your country, learn your deer, scout, whatever it takes. And I don't know, go ahead, but
you're going to
love to
feel
hear that.
stupid more than you're not.
Yes.
And I think by nature of the industry, a lot of the content that we consume comes from people who have years and years of experience. So when they tell a story, it doesn't benefit them as the storyteller or you as the listener for them to tell you all the times they felt stupid before they glassed up this big buck on a scouting trip. So you don't hear the times that people go on some bonsai trip and spend a ton of time and money and don't kill anything. A, that doesn't sell. B, you're not going to listen to that podcast. So you're not going to hear a lot of these stories unless guys are being really honest and saying, yeah, man, I ate crap for a couple years, and there are some guys out there, and it's becoming more common for guys to really be open about their struggles or whatever you want to call it. But speaking as someone who is still learning a lot, I'm learning a lot every day. But more than anything, I learned very recently. I did my first hunt out here 5-6 years ago. Speaking from that lens, I can honestly say, yeah, you're gonna feel stupid until you're not, and then you feel like a hero. So don't feel uncomfortable going out there looking like an idiot, coming home, tail between your legs. Cool. Do it and load up and do it again. And load up and do it again and again and again. And at some point you will piece together enough data to feel like, you know what? I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing. And that swagger is worth a lot.
What gets me through that with scouting, because I can only relate to like the eastern public land whitetails, because I've yet to go crazy scouting here, which I intend to, was what kept me going. What I told myself was like, because of the miles, dude, the miles and miles and miles I would scout this piece of state game lands, these parcels in Pennsylvania that are open to hunting. The days and days of not turning up any deer, not cutting tracks, not finding any sign, feeling stupid. What I would tell myself was like, okay, I'm crossing off like parts of the map, and that kept me going, because by sheer default, you're going to find what you're looking for. Then you start to learn too, sometimes it's good to go back and look at places at a different lens, different times of year and stuff. But point being,
100%.
That would make me feel okay on the drive home, because that's a huge part.
Yeah, dude. And if nothing else, I mean, think about it in another way of like, it's X amount of hours to get to this buck. It's X amount of miles, X amount of dudes.
I just need to take this many steps.
Yeah, it may not even be, you made it. Like, it sounds like this kind of cop-out moral victory to say like, oh, well, at least I know where they aren't. Think about it in another way. Even if you don't knock out knowing where they aren't and you don't now feel any better about knowing where they are, you are now X amount of hours due closer. At some point, even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yes.
So at some point, the victory you take home is, well, I put in 3 more days of shitty dues to get closer to this. And quite frankly, when you look back on it at the finish line, that's how it's going to feel, is look at all the hours I put into this.
Yeah.
So
And it's always going to be worth it.
even if you don't come home feeling smarter, you should come home feeling like, well, okay, I paid more dues. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I totally cut you off, went down a rabbit hole, but I think that was,
No, dude,
I'm excited. I'm happy we talked
that's
about
the fun
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
But I think where I was going with that was everybody got a pin. All the deer got a pin. And what I did when I came back was I had my muzzy buddy, the buddy who killed that muzzy buck, flying in to come help me. But I drove back, and this is funny. You'll laugh at this because I know you work a normal job like me. Sorry if you can hear those dogs.
It's
but
okay.
I worked remote. I got an Airbnb out in this middle of nowhere unit, the one Airbnb that I could find that had Wi-Fi. And I worked remote for 2 days so that I could glass the mornings and evenings. And I went back to a knob where I could see a ton of country, where I had seen that one good buck. And I found my buck on the same general hillside as where I had seen two does from 3 miles and dropped a pin. And quite frankly, in the moment, I was like, who cares? Like, I'm not seeing a ton from up here. I've seen that one buck that was kind of working down towards private. But I dropped a pin on those does, and lo and behold, end of October, I come back, big buck with those does. Now, he left those does and quickly fed up and over to a spot where I really didn't know how to play it. So instead of getting closer the next day, because I was working remote, I just kept going back to that knob to get a 30,000 foot view and see what side of the hill he might move to, so on and so forth. Dude, I never saw him again for 3 days. But I found other bucks moving in to check these two groups of does that I could see from this master vantage point. And so at that point, I said, well, I've got a ton of other country to check in this unit. This wasn't my A-list spot. I just said I would check this because I had seen deer here previously. But if there's groups of does here that are being checked out by bucks, I probably shouldn't leave.
Yes.
Especially given the two of those bucks I saw were pretty mature. So on day 4, the morning of day 4, the morning that I'm now free to actually go pursue these deer, that morning now that I'm free, right, to actually go really start hunting, I glass up another buck, a different buck, a bigger buck, like bigger than mine, like significantly bigger than mine in terms of in terms of on the tape, like, if you were to go by the score. But I don't find my buck. So I'm still looking at all this, but I know my buddy's going to come in and help me the next day. And I kind of mark all this stuff, and I'm thinking, well, should I go make a move now? Like, should I kind of wait and sit back knowing I've got help coming? And for no reason at all, I said, I'm actually going to work around to the other side of this mountain and glass back down into the valley and look at the private. I don't know what compelled me to do that, but I wanted to. And sure enough, the big buck that I had glassed up that first day that kept me coming back was down on the private in the hayfields sniffing does. And I was heartbroken. I know this other buck was bigger. He was awesome, but that buck was the one I'd had my sights set on. He was kind of the reason I'd kept coming back. And sure enough, he's down there like in the middle of this hayfield on the private. And I go, well, okay, I guess game over. I guess, we're really going to focus on this other bigger buck. Whatever, big deal. Leave. I think I glassed somewhere else that night. Go pick up my buddy. We come back in the next morning, get back on that same hill, looking for the big buck. We don't see the big buck. We find the same two groups of does that we've been looking at, and now a new bigger, not bigger, but old, like really old and ugly buck has moved in on those does, and he's kind of, pushing them around, pushing some other deer around. And I told my buddy, I said, just for the hell of it, how about we go back over to this other side of the mountain and go look down on the private, and you can see that buck that I was drooling over. And he goes, yeah, you go do that, but I'm going to stay here. And I was like, okay. I was like, you stay here, do whatever. It's getting pretty late in the morning at this point. And I go back over there and I look down on the private, and it's a couple does, small bucks, whatever. And right as I'm kind of getting fidgety and starting to pull out a snack, I turn around and he's running to me, and he goes, dude, there's a big buck over here. And I said, really? Is it the big buck? And he goes, it's not where you said any deer would be. And I said, huh, okay. So I walked back over there, put up the spotter. It's the wide buck, my buck that I ended up killing. And it's the buck that was on private. Overnight, this buck had covered 4 miles and 2,200 vert from where he was on the private the day before.
Crazy.
That's after coming off the mountain from where I'd seen him the first day. This buck just became, nomadic, and I guess, frankly, horny, because this was a really cool deer behavior nugget. Where my buddy saw him, he had crested this ridge and was kind of coming towards us, crested the ridge, and was very clearly making an effort to go to bed. He's headed towards this one patch of aspens, goes to bed in those aspens, and lays down. We mark it. We're sitting there thinking about what we're going to do. And I go, man, I don't know. It's weird. He's solo. Maybe he's just moving around scent checking. Dude, maybe like 30 minutes later, a group of does comes over in that same direction and beds in those same aspens with him. He had been running those does, clearly. But when the sun came up and it got high enough in the sky, he said, to hell with y'all, I'm going to bed. I need to get to cover. So he goes and crawls in those aspens. My buddy and I basically spent the rest of the, mid-morning and early afternoon leapfrogging, right? We're about 3 miles from where we spotted him. And we leapfrog so that no one ever leaves the glass to see if he just gets up and bails out of these aspens. So we leapfrog, and it took a lot of work. It's a lot of hiking. And one of the components of the leapfrogging involved moving the truck back around so that if we did get a shot, we weren't 6 miles, 7 miles back to the truck. Long story short, we get over there and we come to realize, based on the topography, the leapfrogging was not probably that smart for me if I was going to kill him. What I needed to do was to actually bail out, go back to the truck, drive about an hour around, and come up over the top of it. And it was one of those things where we both kind of talked about it, and we were like, yeah, that's probably the best decision, but that's a lot of work. Sat there, had a snack, drank some coffee, and then finally we're like, dude, we need to just buck up and do it. And I said, screw it, I'm going to buck up and do it. And this is the funny part of the story. So on that drive over there, I'm gassed because we've been leapfrogging all morning. I'm on day 5 now. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I chug the remaining coffee I had on the drive. And then as I'm driving up the last bit of that road to where I think I'm going to park and start a 1,000-foot climb, basically shotgun a Celsius. Because I'm like, I'm about to do a 1,000-foot climb. I'm gassed, whatever.
Hell yeah.
Dude, there is an unmarked continuation of this road. My hike in to where I needed to be to like start making my approach on this buck was like 250 vert and a half mile. So right about the time that I get to where I need to slow down and focus, I am wired. Like just jittery as all get out. I'm like just tapping my leg, like I'm ready to go tackle this deer.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I should not have drank that Celsius and the rest of that coffee and, the energy chews or whatever. And I out loud had to pray, like, Lord, I need you to calm me down because I'm wired. And, not to mention the look I got on that buck. I mean, I knew what he was, but where he was that morning, like with the sun hitting his rack, that was just stuck in my brain. And I was like, man, this is probably the biggest deer I've ever had a good chance at. So I come over the knob right where I had planned, right where these aspens are going to be at 200 and whatever yards below me. I'm thinking I need to calm down because I'm going to lay down and he's going to walk out of these aspens and, I'm going to sit there and wait. Well, my buddy radios me and goes, hey, I don't know where you are, but they're up and they're moving. And it's like 3:00 in the afternoon. It's pretty early, but they're on a shaded finger ridge. So they're now going back out the way they came. They're going to go back up and crest over this ridge. So I'm on the wrong side of the spine. So I need to now go continue up that spine and basically come in from above them. And long story short, I know you know what I mean by this, but the mountain basically had like a concave to it. And these deer, after getting up and moving, rebedded in this little swell. So I kept peeking over and thinking like every single false rise, I was like, they're going to be right over this. And they weren't. And then I kept peeking over a little more and they weren't. And finally, my buddy radios me and is like, dude, you are going to be able to hit them with a rock pretty soon. You need to like do something, slow down, whatever. And we basically got to a point where I turned my radio off because we were that close, or I felt as though I was that close. And I knew they were under me, but I could not see them because of the way they were kind of in this concave swell. So I took my boots off. I dropped my pack. It's me and my gun. And I feel like I'm doing an archery stalk. And this whole thing ends up taking about, I would guess I was about 200 yards when this all started. And I bet from 200 to when I killed him, it took about an hour. Because it's rocky. It's really, really rocky. Creep, creep, creep. Finally catch an ear in the grass of this bedded doe. And then one doe stands up. And then another doe stands up. And I just sit down. I mean, I was already basically hands and knees, but I sit down. And I had this thought of like, dude, they're at 80. Just stand up and shoot them. Right?
Yeah.
Of like, just bust in there. Just stand up and shoot them.
Yeah.
And I just realized in that moment, I was like, no, like, it's okay to be in the red zone and slow down. You don't need to just go, boom, 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 like kill.
Mm-hmm. Especially with a rifle. I know.
Especially with a rifle.
You just want to.
And I said, dude, the wind is okay. You're on the top of the ridge. You're above him. Let him make a mistake. Because I knew, I was like, I can see his doe's bedded or standing up. I know he's probably bedded. I'm just going to walk up there and he'll stand up and I'll shoot him. Perfectly. As I'm about to go left, he stands up and takes his doe and goes right. And if I'd have gone left, I might have been screwed. So because I sat and waited instead of trying to force my hand, he played right into my lap. And all I had to do was roll over to my right. And I had this whole, I'm going to go back on what I just said, but I had this whole, like, I grabbed a rock and I was trying to put the rock under the butt of my gun. And then I was going to put the glove under the rock so that and I was playing with it. And he's standing there broadside. And then I was like, oh, wait, he's at 80 yards. And in one fluid
shoot the deer. Yeah.
Put one in him. Great shot. Heart, lung, whatever. He hunches up and does one spin around. And I quickly reloaded and he's still standing there. And I just know better. I mean, I knew he was done. I could see it. But I said, I'm not going to chance it. And I put the next one right at the base of his neck. And that was it.
I love it, dude. Yes, yeah. Dude. Shoot. Like, you can't kill them any harder. Like,
they're not going to be more dead.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Yes. So
yeah,
that's the way to do it though. Good work.
Yeah. And then, dude, I we're out in the middle of nowhere and I can just hear my buddy yelling and he's all jacked up. I'm jacked up. He's been with me now for probably less than 24 hours and we immediately put one down. But it's because of all the days I spent there leading up, the scouting in October. But dude, getting to walk up on that buck, man. I've had my success and I'm incredibly grateful for it. But that's the buck I've been praying for. Like, that's the buck I've been wanting. That's the one that I frankly, I'm not going to say I passed up that bigger buck because I definitely would have made a move on him if I could have. But that was the one I had my heart set on. And I'd been praying about him and to put him down at 80 yards like that was just epic. So yeah, I mean, get up there. Got some really cool sunset photos with my buddy, cut him up, get back to the truck. And because I've taken off another 5 days and he just got there, we took our sweet freaking time. We made breakfast the next morning. We slept in. It was,
oh, that's the best.
Yeah, dude. When you're not on a huge time crunch and you can just take your sweet time and sit around camp, man, that's the best feeling. So, yeah, man, could not be more grateful to the Lord for that one.
When I saw that picture posted, it's so great, man, because you got the moon in the back. Such a cool looking buck, like extras, and like I was just so happy for you, man. And super wide. Like, did you get his width?
Yeah, he made 30.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Dude, in a nutshell, it could not have been cooler. And my buddy was laughing about how he really didn't have to struggle much because he'd only been there 24 hours, but it felt good to have gone in October, find deer right back where you left them, sit on that buck a couple of days, and man, just to see a cool deer behavior nugget like that, to watch that buck move from public to private to public, and not like a couple hundred yards on the other side of the fence, like truly move. It could not have been cooler.
Just doing these big, like looking for does, like this big loop.
Yeah, dude. You could probably tell by the October hunt. It's a low density area, and so I think these deer kind of, either for water or just for the rut, I think they've just learned they got to cover country, and he certainly didn't mind. But God, dude, he was skinny, like skinny, real old, like kind of sunk face.
Yeah, he looks old.
Dude, not much fat on him. Had a huge gash in his nose that was kind of like oozing. You probably can't even really see it in any pictures, but his whole front shoulder was tore up and bloody. He'd been fighting, but it's cool to get to see deer be so adapted to their landscape and then just be tough as nails.
Just a warrior, dude. So
yeah, dude, warrior.
I know we talked about score or whatever, but like I have to ask, like you pulled a tape for the width, but did you get an overall number?
He doesn't break 80. He doesn't break 180.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Now, if you took that, I can't remember which side forks. If you took his fork side,
his right side,
I think he's probably mid to high 180s. But that 3 side just kills him, and that's it.
Yeah.
But that's why I always tell people, is like, dude, score just cannot tell you the story, man.
No.
That buck looks at you and it's just a no-brainer, right? And I don't know, maybe I'm running in the wrong circles. I don't know many people that would pass that buck just looking at him. I think 30 does it for everybody, man. But that's why I always say, dude, tape doesn't tell the whole tale. And in a way, it's kind of cool because now I can still say I'm chasing a 180, right? I'm still, and I don't know if I ever will. I don't know if I'd ever pass a buck like that, even if he scored 160. I wouldn't.
Nobody, dude.
But it's cool to
and I hate asking, but I can't help but ask. I don't know why.
I think it makes it cooler to say, wow, what a cool deer and looks so awesome. But yeah, dude, we didn't tape him, right? Like, I didn't really go down to the eighths, but I when I went to measure his width, I was like, screw it, we'll score him. So yeah, but he that other buck that we left out there, I'll send you some video of him, dude. We both think he's 190 type.
Whoa.
Killer, really cool buck.
Well, this was a dandy, man, by all means, and by anyone's account. And like, this was your dandy buck, and you wrote about it in here. And before we totally wrap up, like, you ended this caption with, and I think this is why me and you kind of vibe really well, because I really just felt this when I read it. Love this life, love these creatures, and love the Creator who's blessed me with such awesome experiences. Feeling awful grateful tonight. # God is good. # mule deer. Dude, I just love that, man. Like,
that's pretty much, those are all the things I care about in life right there. That's pretty much it. That and my wife and my dog.
Yeah. So beautiful, man. Love it. Loved hearing all the stories from chasing deer. Like I said, I don't know. I guess I'm a mule deer guy now. We'll see. Let me get through a first one whole year of Idaho, and then I'll officially label myself, I guess.
You got some of the best stuff right there in your backyard now, man.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be tough not to chase them. And yeah, I can't remember how the system works. Will you be able to scoop 2 tags this year if you really wanted?
2 elk tags.
2 elk?
So I know I can do. And this is actually funny because this is what I'm like learning right now, because, it's funny. They're doing the whole different non-resident thing. And I had some people ask me, and I was just like, I don't know. I don't give a shit. Like, I live here now. I'm not reading all that crap, but I had to get, my old man is coming out for sure.
Oh,
And,
nice.
I want to get him in a good area. So here I am back, watching YouTube videos again on like Go
Yeah.
Hunt, trying to figure out what to do. But
Yeah.
no, so I learned all that. Yeah, I got an application in from my dad, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm
Nice.
also learning like the resident regs
Hmm.
and what I can do. So I know one thing I can do is you do have the ability here as a resident to go back in a certain day in August to pick up any leftovers. You just have to pay the non-resident price. They
That's
usually
what I
go
was
pretty
thinking.
quick for elk. I know that. But I'm thinking about spending, and I haven't put this out too much, but like I have all these other states here, man. And what I
I
do
know,
not
man.
want to
It's
do
tough.
is make the mistake, especially in year one here. I want to spend as much time as I can here in Idaho.
Hmm.
So want to pick
Proof's in
up
the
two.
pudding for you, man. I mean, you went out pretty quick and made quick work on a good buck without even really being a official resident. So
I
I think
know.
there's plenty for you to chew on there.
I'll get something worked out and I'll definitely keep busy. And then I
Yeah.
really want to hunt. I really want to hunt that late rut tag with a bow in November. So I'm gonna have to
Mm.
like not let myself tag out in rifle season and wait
Yeah.
for that. But that's when I think
Yeah.
my old man's gonna come out in October. But I don't
So
know.
you'll be
Good
busy.
problems to
Good.
have.
Dude, really, yeah, it's not bad problems to have. I used to really stress out about it, and I would make spreadsheets on like my season and hit all these if thens of trying to maximize my season and make sure that every friend of mine gets to hunt and I get to make sure I hit every season. And dude, you come to realize it's not a bad problem to have, and you're never gonna hit everything. So just do it to the best of your abilities and let the cards fall where they may.
For sure, man. We'll wrap
Mhm.
up. We'll leave it there. Dude, where can people find you if they want to follow along, look at these bucks, and so forth?
Just the normal stuff, man. Just like Instagram and Facebook and all that. And there's deer we killed this year that I still have not even posted. But it was a great year, man. Tons of deer, just the way I like it. And yeah, real blessed. It's been a hell of a season.
Perfect, man. Love following you. Love the passion. Keep it up. And definitely be in touch, as always.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Let me know once you get your plans finalized and if you end up coming back down here.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. We'll be in touch. All
Sweet.
right.
Later.
We'll wrap up. Everybody, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. See you, brother.
Peace.
Hey, if you like that episode, please share it with a friend, share it on your story, and give the podcast a rating and a review on wherever you listen. For more of this type of content, you can head over to the YouTube channel and follow along on all the social platforms. Really appreciate it. See you on the mountain.